Hi there everyone, Rob here with today's Western Pacific weather update. It is the 16th of January 2012, and out here in the Western Pacific today, as far as the tropics, very quiet and benign. Actually, a final advisory put out on the area of convection over the Philippines today, so a rather calm day respectively to what we've been seeing the past few weeks. There is a few areas of cumulonimbus cloud tops here, all these colder cloud tops being indicated by the IR imagery, moving over the southern portions of Mindanao, but nothing organized at the very most. And also basically out here towards the South China Sea, we were watching some convection out there just off the screen towards the left. There's a little bit more, but nothing organized as well. So the main feature out here today is actually in the westerlies. We have this deep area of low pressure developing and moving over Japan today. Actually, in my location out here in Yokohama here, actually, if you just look at this imagery here, there is some cloud cover across this entire region, and actually some rain showers being reported just off towards the south. So let's actually pull up the surface analysis put out by KMA. And KMA, that's the Korean Meteorological Agency, just showing that area of low pressure just towards the south of Japan. Some rain showers over some of the islands just off the coast of Honshu, extending down towards Shikoku and parts of Kyushu as well. That's what's being indicated here in green, and all that cloud cover does extend all the way back towards the eastern portions of Korea as well. So this rain is expected to last throughout the rest of the day and into tomorrow, but behind that, this high pressure is going to push in from the north. And actually, if we pull back here and look at a different surface analysis, you can see this stationary boundary here with that high actually breaking off of the Siberian high way off towards the north here. This is what we call a bubble high right in here, pushing towards the south and bringing some gusty winds actually across much of Taiwan, extending down here towards the South China Sea, including the Paracel Islands, and also portions of Hong Kong here getting cloud cover and actually reporting fog there in Hong Kong today as well. But that's really the big situation here. This is also bringing some cooler temperatures with it, and if we pull up the temperature, we actually have a high of 5 in Tokyo for tomorrow, only 3 in Seoul out there in western China, seeing -2 for a high tomorrow. So very cold temperatures out north of this stationary boundary and north of that jet stream that really separates those two air masses. That's the colder polar easterlies, or excuse me, the polar westerlies towards the north, and the tropical easterlies towards the south here that you're still seeing down in the Philippines, where you have a high temperature tomorrow in the high 20s to low 30s. So very warm down there south of that polar front jet. But let's look at the GFS model outlook here, and over the next couple days, we're starting here on Monday, showing this stationary boundary extending out here towards the west across much of eastern China and over towards the southern Japan. Behind that, we were talking about that high pressure ridging in. That's what we got dominating much of the region by midweek, but by the latter part of this week, another area of low pressure is expected to come out of eastern China and push out towards Japan as well here. But that's really going to be the big situation coming up by later part of this week into next week. And otherwise, though, the easterlies down here towards the south associated with that monsoonal belt doesn't remain rather benign. Nothing very organized is expected to develop up here in the northern hemisphere, but you still are expected to see these diurnal effects affecting much of the region here as well. So you still can see those afternoon thunderstorms, and definitely across the Malaysian peninsula, the sea breeze in the afternoon, the evening hours is still in effect in these regions. But I also want to look back on Monday, check out this area of low pressure. If we scroll up here, it's lingering off here just south of Kamchatka. Now, I know this is really affecting any of my viewers, but I think it's something cool to look at here. Let's actually pull back to the satellite imagery. You can see it spinning up here. Now, this is what we call a occluded low, or a dissipating low, just south of Kamchatka. It's actually fairly deep with a central pressure about 900 HPA, so that's a very deep low out here. And this is just looking at the ASCAT imagery, showing the Kuril Islands out here towards the northwest, and some of the winds actually associated with this occluded low, upwards of above 50 to 60 knots, just given by this ASCAT imagery. So just something to show out here in the polar easterlies, way off towards the north. You have these strong winter storms still continuing to linger. But let's switch all the way towards the other side of the hemisphere here, towards the south, where we're going to look at an area of cyclonic development possibly within the monsoonal trough just off towards the northwest of Australia. But good news with this, at least by the GFS and NOGAMS model outlooks, both of them agree that this is not going to affect any landmass if it does develop, and that's this one way out here towards the west. So if you do hear anything about a possible cyclonic development, this might be what people are talking about here. Actually, on current satellite imagery, it does show this area of convection out there, and it does look fairly organized, so I do rate this a a decent chance of tropical development, but good news, it doesn't look like it's going to affect any land masses out in this region. But that is all for right now. I do want to leave you on one more note. Please go to the website. I actually finally put together a top 5 weather events for the past year out here in the Western Pacific and Australia. Number 1 definitely was the 2011 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami. It affected everybody up here in Japan, and specifically northeastern Japan. And if we scroll down here, though, number 2 was definitely Tropical Storm Washi and Sendong, basically due to the huge amount of death toll that came out of that, and still people recovering out of there. Very sad story. Continue to scroll down, though, Thailand floods definitely rated in the top 5 of the severe weather events out here in the Western Pacific. And also we have Typhoon Talos. That actually dropped upwards of 20 meters of rainfall in certain areas along the Key Peninsula as that made landfall. So one of the great deluges of the year. And lastly, Cyclone Yasi, for everybody down in Australia. That storm was absolutely massive and definitely does earn its place in the top 5 weather events out here in the Western Pacific and Australia. So if anybody has any questions, comments, or suggestions, please post them in the comment box below. Stay safe out there, everybody, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.